Well, welcome to day 20 of our Energy Bus journey. Well, today George is ready. We find him with this rock in his pocket that Joy gave him, and he's nervous and excited. He's got that feeling that he used to get before a big game, and he's going to need it because today he's going to step into a few leadership boxing matches. Now, the first contender is Larry. And before Larry can even get a negative word out of his mouth, boom, George hits him with the hard truth. He says, this bus is moving forward, Larry. And if you want a job here, you got to be on it, and you got to be ready for a positive ride. And that shocked Larry. He wasn't quite used to George being so direct. And I think there's a key lesson here, because Larry was negative all of this time because George was allowing it. This is a leadership truth that I learned from the book Boundaries for Leaders, which will eventually be in my 25 books that changed my life series. The author, Dr. Henry Cloud, says that whatever's happening in your organization from you down is either something you've created or something you're allowing. Now, think about it. That's a pretty tough reality to accept as a leader. But the truth is that leadership requires taking responsibility for what's happening in your culture. And today, George is starting to take responsibility. He's starting to take ownership. But the next battle is not going to be so easy. Enter Tom. And for all you gamers out there, Tom is a boss-level energy vampire. Not only does Tom not respect George, but he wants to see George fail. And he isn't afraid to be downright rude about it. But he assumes George today is just going to take it, like he has every other day. But George has a secret weapon, his rock. No, not to throw at Tom, but to remind him of Joy's words, which she said, find value in yourself. Find it in the rock. Find it in your team. And on page 83, George has a realization. He says, Tom didn't believe in him because George didn't believe in himself. He had allowed himself to be walked on like a doormat. And that has been happening for far too long, but not anymore. Not today. George takes a stand and he tells Tom, if this bus blows up, don't worry. You won't be on it because you're fired. Which is a tough decision because George needs Tom's skills for the product launch. But what he didn't need even more was Tom's negativity that was pushing the team down. So it had all come to a head. Something had to happen. Tom's off the bus. Now, next up, we have Michael, who's been watching everything unfold. And he makes his decision pretty quickly. He's going to choose a different bus. And George doesn't fight it. If he wants to go, he can go. But then this is where the real challenge comes in, because Jamie and Jose hit George with some pretty hard truths. Jamie tells George that he's become a less effective leader over time and that he's dragging the team down. It's not the team, George. It's you, is what she says. And Jose says that he didn't turn in his bus ticket because he felt underappreciated and unseen. Because George has been focused on himself and trying to save his job so much that he didn't see the contributions of others. And the hard truth, though, is that just because something became urgent to George doesn't mean the team was going to buy in overnight. But it's in this moment that George discovers that he's got some blind spots. And the truth is, we all have blind spots. And instead of getting defensive, George responds with humility, which really is a sign of growth. He's become a different leader since he stepped on bus number 11. This type of leader listens, learns, and makes the adjustments needed to serve his team. So here's my reflection question for you today. Where in your life and your leadership have you failed to set boundaries? I want you to think about what conversations have you been avoiding that need to happen? Or what behaviors have you allowed that need to change? We see on page 88 an important reminder. It says that you can't change the past. Let it go. Create the future. And although we can't rewrite the past, even though sometimes we'd like to, we can use it to learn from and to move forward with clarity and purpose based on what we've been through. Now, after today's boxing match, I think George's team is going to be better. It's going to be better for the struggles that they just went through. And I also feel that we are going to see some surprises on the road ahead. But we'll just have to wait to see how that turns out. I'll see you tomorrow.